the Iterator Design Pattern. An interface with next and Hasnext methods. Next returns the next object in the aggregate, which is a collection or a list or of objects. Hasnext returns a value, usually a boolean indicating if the iterable is at the end of the list or not. So the aggregate, your collection or list of things, is called an iterable because we can iterate it. The benefits of using an iterator pattern is that the client can traverse an aggregate without needing to understand its internal representation and data structures. Let's look at an image. So this is a UML diagram of an iterator. So it's an object which implements two methods, Hasnext and next, and that's the iterator interface that it implements. So let's start coding. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is create a file called iterator.py. Okay, and in that I'm going to import the ABC meta classes. So from ABC, import ABC meta and abstract method. Let's create the iterator interface. Okay, so static method, static abstract method, Hasnext, returns a boolean whether at the end of the collection or not. And there's a static method, abstract method, next, and return the object in the collection. Let's create our iterable, which could be anything that we want to iterate, and I'm going to call it an iterable. Class iterable implements int the iterator. This iterable is only going to return numbers, so I'm going to have a start value being 0 and a maximum value which equals 7. I need to implement the next and the Hasnext methods now, so define next if self index is less than self maximum. Okay, so x equals self index plus equals 1, return x. We're going to return a number being whatever index equals, and then we're going to increment it by 1. And if we're at the end of our, if let's say that condition is not true, we'll return an error. So we'll raise a custom exception at end of iterator exception at end of iterator. Okay, very good. Let's now implement the Hasnext method. Let's return self.index is less than self.maximum, and that will return true most of the time, unless self-index has been incremented to a point where it's equal to 7. Okay, let's create our client now. Now client will create an object called iterable equals an iterable. And what we're going to do is print iterable dot next. Let's see what that does. Okay, let's run that. Python iterator.py 0. Okay, it returned 0, x equals self.index, which equals 0, and then it incremented index for the next time. So if we were to run print iterable twice, print iterable next twice, we'll get a 0 and a 1. 0 and 1. Now let's do that several times until we get to the end of the iterable. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that should throw an error. Okay, so let's make that screen larger. Python iterator.py. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's an error at the end. At end of iterator exception. There we go. Okay, so another way we can use that, we can say while iterable Hasnext print iterable dot next. Let's run that. There we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it didn't trigger an exception that time because we did a test if iterable Hasnext.